Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. So, um, you weren't there last night, right, Ted?
I was not.
Okay. Yeah, it went okay.
Yeah. So I was just trying to get a sense of how it was different. So that I
The
was on.
really the
Okay.
only difference was that it was it was a regular Zoom meeting as opposed to a webinar.
Okay. And so same thing tonight. We want to ask them to keep their phones muted because otherwise they can turn them on, right?
Right, right. And I will make I guess Carrie can be the host.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if you need to make me, I don't know if the panelist, I think I can do attendees as a panelist. I think I can mute and,
I
Okay.
think you can.
okay.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. If push comes to shove, you can pass it back to me and I'll work it out.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
I'll just, so as people enter, I'm just gonna make them panelists so that they're all, you'll be able to, it'll look like a normal Zoom call.
okay. Cool. I think I'm not sure. Maybe once if they're panelists, they can see the questions in the Q&A window.
Yes, that would be correct.
Yeah. So that could
Do
be.
we not want to do that?
No, I mean that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. I actually think it worked well last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna meet with Iman tomorrow,
Oh,
Great.
good.
so I'll call him at 1:30. I met with Hemingway, Captain.
Kathy, good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that went well. She, in the beginning, she was a little hard to read. I couldn't tell if she was
Yeah, she's not a super warm fuzzy, but she's a good, I'll reach out to her now.
it was cool, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I just said what I believed and what I planned to do, and she seemed to be cool with it. So
Did she give you info on this downtown and what?
yeah. So we talked about the rebound program that the businesses have been using to really get moving in COVID. And I asked, I said, there's no clarity as to when it's going to end. Do you have any information on that? And she didn't have any information on it, although they said they'd give her a date tomorrow. And she said she's hearing it's either going to go through the end of the year or through spring. The reason I was asking about that is because I think that the rebound program, it cuts through the red tape. It helps the businesses get things going really quickly. And I think it should be extended from not just the survival phase, but over into the regeneration phase when they're getting back up to speed. So she was cool with that too. And she also told me a little bit about some of the longstanding issues that they've had. She did let me know that Chili's is again going to be opening up.
What's it going to be?
It's going to be a Middle Eastern restaurant, I believe.
And that's been vacant for forever. And they tried to put one thing in there and it failed, but
Right.
yeah,
Right.
it's crazy.
She said it's surprising because hey Rob.
Hey, Rob.
I'm gonna have to step away for a minute. I got a call coming in, but I wanted to just get in, so I didn't have to join midstream.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
And I need to go change my shirt because I have a Sade shirt on.
I like Sade. I saw Sade live.
Carrie's on mute.
Yeah, I immediately changed that is my response.
So Kurt, yeah, with Iman, I think the key thing is, he's just got a huge set of contacts from when he ran. So trying to figure out the right way to leverage that, whether he's introducing you to them or, what's the right way. You might just ask him what he wants to do.
Okay.
So, because it would, it'd be great to have a Zoom call, but it might also be great if he sent a communication out, right, that just kind of basically endorsed you to his people or something like that.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, if we could get him to host. If we could get him to host a Zoom party, that would be amazing.
Yeah, for his list, right? Because he's probably got, I bet he's got 1,000 people on his list just because from running, and he got quite a few votes. So I'm sure he's got a good list to go from.
He came in third.
Yep.
Unfortunately, there was only 2 seats. Yeah, so I'll talk to him. I'll ask him about leveraging his contacts. I'll give him a couple of possibilities, and then we can coordinate and get back to him on exactly how we want to execute.
Okay.
But also, I'm going to ask him about the Chamber of Commerce.
That's great. Yeah, let's get some feedback from him there.
Get some feedback on that. Maybe he can help me out.
Yeah, and if things go well, I mean, it's not for you to talk to him about this time, but one of us should kind of find a way to mine that list for donors too. So
Right.
follow up.
That's the thing. And I'm wondering if maybe I should be a little more forthright with my need for money.
I think it's fine to maybe say to him, look, and we're obviously trying to get over the hump on fundraising. Can I have one of my, campaign people connect with you? I think it's probably better than you kind of directly, getting in the weeds on that.
Yeah.
But the ask, I think, is fine.
Okay. Cool. Oh, here's Sherry. Carrie. Sorry. I'll make you hostess.
And then we're about ready to go on, right?
Yes.
Are we doing webinar or are we live? Feed everybody.
It's a webinar, but we're going to make everybody panelists. So it's going to be meeting like.
Okay. And you guys got this covered from hosting and questions and answers, right? Just so I can make sure I'm not jumping in where I'm not needed.
Yeah, so you want me to do the intro? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to step away, and I'm expecting this call, so I'm gonna have to step away probably for 10 minutes. So.
Okay, that's fine.
And Q&A, you guys got it covered, or you need help on that?
Yeah, got it. It's not going to be a big group. I think it's going to be fine. Yeah, if you pop back in and we're in the middle of Q&A and you see something, feel free to jump in. Oh, where'd he go?
I'm here. I just was gonna go off. No, I'm just gonna go off the video.
Did you just pee? No, he did not pee.
Yeah, he did. Why?
No, he did not. No, I thought he literally lifted his leg and these dogs.
Oh, I thought you meant.
Curtis?
This is like hot mic. Be careful, hot mic. Curtis, we got your Instagram takeover date set.
Oh, okay. When is that?
September 25th at 6 p.m.
Okay. Carrie, did you? Oh, you haven't started yet, right?
What? Did I start what?
No, the banner at the top that says whatever,
Okay.
practice mode. I forgot that it disappears when I give you the host privileges.
Correct.
So I thought we were live.
Well,
Sorry.
Ted has host privileges.
I'm seeing that. Should I be broadcasting?
Oh, hang on. Did you give it to Ted, Carrie? Or did I?
No, you gave it. You must have.
Okay, hang on. Let me take it back, Ted.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say I see that, and I wasn't sure what to do with it.
Okay. And what about now, Carrie?
I can see it.
Yep.
Are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Okay. 5, 4, and am I recording?
It's already
Yes.
recording.
Yep.
Okay, great. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, there we go.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining the meet and greet with Curtis Reese, candidate for Walnut Creek City Council. We're going to give a couple minutes for people to join here. And we are doing this as a Zoom call today, so if your video is on, you will be on the video. And we'll just give it a couple more minutes.
There's Curtis. There's me out there.
Okay, I think let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, my name is Ted Angus, and I'm very excited and happy to help welcome you all to this meet and greet with Curtis. I'm one of a large group of volunteers who've been helping Curtis with this campaign, and I'm honored to be with you all here tonight. We've come here to hear about change, to hear about hope, and to hear about the future Walnut Creek from Curtis. He represents a different perspective for our community and a perspective that I think our community needs. So let's learn a little bit more about Curtis's plans tonight and the change that he wants to make. But before we do that, I wanted to mention a couple brief logistical items. First of all, we are recording the event tonight. I ask that you keep yourself on mute because otherwise we can hear you. If you turn your video on, we can see you as well. We're all on a Zoom call together tonight. We will be taking Q&A, so if you have questions, you can type them in at any time to the Q&A box that's down at the bottom of your screen. In the chat throughout the meeting, we'll share links and other information as well about how you can get more information about Curtis. So as many of you have seen on social media, his launch occurred a few weeks ago, and we're now really in a 60-day or so sprint to the election. So we appreciate your interest and we appreciate you tuning in. I want to take a brief moment to share some critical ways to help us maintain that momentum. First of all, if you're able to do so, is to consider donating to the campaign. Obviously, it takes money for us to run this campaign and get Curtis's message out. And if that's something that you're willing and able to do, we would appreciate that very much. Second is to volunteer. As we get more into September and October, we'll need volunteers for the different events to support the campaign, and we would love to have you sign up to help there as well. And third is to consider endorsing Curtis as well. So we have a long list of endorsements that Curtis has already earned from different organizations and individuals within Walnut Creek. The organizations include the Contra Costa Labor Council, Contra Costa Democratic Central Committee, the Democrats of Rossmore, Friends of Scott and Alexis and Tawn Hall, Diana Beckton, Charisse Khan, who's the Mount Diablo School Board member. I believe we can announce Mark Desaulnier has also now endorsed Curtis, and there are a few more on the way. But it's also great for residents to see the individuals and their neighbors that they know endorsing as well. All of these things can be done at Curtis's website, curtisreese.com, and we'll provide more information on those links in the chat as well. And we would love to get more information, have you provide more information there that we can use to communicate with you in the future. Fourth, of course, is to just get the word out, whether that's talking to your friends, forwarding links to your friends, joining the Facebook page or other social media pages we have, so that the word can get spread. Given that this is a virtual election in some ways, because there's very little face-to-face, it's all the more important to make sure that we're reaching out through all the different channels we can to make sure that Curtis gets known. Obviously, too, we've got 3 incumbents running. It's 8 people running in the race. It's a very crowded field, and because of that, the more that we can spread the word and get his information out by word of mouth, it's going to be very, very important. So we appreciate, again, you joining us very much. And I'd like to turn this over to Curtis at this point and have Curtis tell you more about what he's about. So Curtis, I'll turn it to you.
Thank you, Ted. Appreciate that. Hello, everyone. Obviously, my name is Curtis Reese, and I really want to thank you all for coming out. It's for a number of reasons. It's Thursday night, and if you're anything like me, it's been a tough week. So participating in things after hours can be challenging. Also, the NFL starts tonight, so I know that there are some concerned citizens that are also trying to tap into a little bit of normalcy and enjoy a game. So I can completely understand that. In speaking of normalcy, unfortunately, this is a time where that is something that is hard for us to take advantage of. There seems to be none. For the past 7 months, things have been very difficult, and even beyond that, there have been a lot of challenges. I've recognized that now Walnut Creek is in a bit of a crisis. There are several challenges that the city's dealing with, from the obvious one, which is COVID-19, which has resulted in huge budget deficits, and our businesses are struggling to survive. And there are social justice issues that have come to a head, and they must be addressed at this point. Regardless of what your opinions are on them, we can't get beyond the social justice challenges in our city council meetings to actually get to the day-to-day business of running the city. So we actually have to go back and really resolve some of those issues. But what I want to do here is, rather than giving you a old-fashioned political spiel, I want to give you a little bit of information about who I am. Or actually 3 things. I want to tell you who I am, why I'm running, and what I will accomplish when I'm elected. So let's start with who am I? Number one, I'm a family man. That's my priority. That's the thing that gets me up in the morning. That's the thing that I stay up at night worrying about, my family. When I came to Walnut Creek, one of the main reasons I chose this place, beyond the fact that the people were so kind and I love the landscape, it just felt like a place where I could raise my family. And being the youngest of 7 children, that a very close-knit family has always been vital to me, very important to me. It's the touchstone. It's the thing that I can always go back to reorient myself and prepare for what's ahead. And because of that, family is number 1 to me. Next up is I'm a good friend. I believe that friends are just an extension of family. So I treat my close friends as if they were family. And I think if you speak to any of my close friends, they will tell you that that's true. I love without limits. I don't really hold grudges. And I often put more energy into protecting my friends than I do myself. But next, I'm a concerned citizen. I care about the people around me, the people who don't have a clear connection to me. One of the things that I remember my father always saying, and it's something that I've adopted, is that when a child is in his midst, he treats that child like it's his child. And he would tell parents that if you don't want your child to be treated the way I treat my children, then don't let your child come close to me, because I'm going to care for that kid the same way I care for my kids. And that is just one aspect of how he treated people that weren't part of his family. That was just the children, but he felt and still feels the same way about just people on the street, people that he runs across in his daily life. And I'm the same way. But that's especially strong with my community. Why am I running? The primary reason I'm running is because I've been unsatisfied with the responses that we've received to some of the problems that have occurred in Walnut Creek over the past year. For most of you, or many of you anyway, it's no secret that I'm close friends to the Hall family. And for those of you who are unaware, Miles Hall, the child of Scott and Ton Hall, was shot and killed by the Walnut Creek police. And when that happened, I immediately felt it was important to, number one, ensure that there was transparency around the investigation that was going on. But beyond that, the thing that was most important to me was to ensure that what happened to that young man didn't happen to anyone else. I felt that it was less important to me to determine if what happened to Miles was legal or was acceptable in terms of the policies of the police. I was more concerned with, was it necessary? And I didn't believe it was. And I wanted to do what I could to set up policies, to make adjustments to ensure that a life is only taken when it's necessary. So I've done a lot of work with the police and the city staff, working on programs that would address policies, address the way the investigations are handled after such an occurrence, to better position the city to ensure that everyone is a little more safer. Next up, politics today. I've been frustrated with it. Global politics, national politics, state, city, county, just community discussions about politics. It's no secret that often we're living in a very polarizing and contentious era. You bring up the topic of anything political, and often you see people talking at each other, talking past each other. And that doesn't result in the outcomes that we need as citizens when that is happening in the political arena. And one thing that I've always been good at, something that I prided myself in, is being able to listen to different ideas, different thoughts, and work hard to try to find alignment between myself and whoever I'm working with. And I think that is a valuable skill to be applied to city politics. So one of the questions that I often get is, if I am elected to city council and I'm the only voice fighting for something specific, what am I going to do? I'm going to leverage those skills. I'm going to find alignment. I'm going to try to reframe the conversation to see if there's a win-win scenario that's available. And often there is. Another thing is I have something to offer. And the key thing that I have to offer is what I just talked about. It's my personality, my approach to things, my ability to reframe conversations and discussions. I mentioned earlier that I built some relationships with the police. And that was while complaining about activities of the police to the city council. And I didn't build those relationships because they agreed with the things I was saying. I built those relationships and sparked interest in them wanting to know me because I reframed the conversation. I believe that the police are part of the community. And as such, it's important that we consider them in making certain decisions. I don't want them to be isolated from the rest of the community. They need to have skin in the game. And just by reframing that conversation, I was able to have a conversation with the chief of police and one of his leading officers. And from there, we did things like build a police chiefs advisory board, where I was the first member. I'm sorry, I had trouble saying that word. I was the first member. I assisted the chief in interviewing over 75 individuals, and we narrowed it down to 16 people from all corners of Walnut Creek with different genders, different personalities, different cultures, so that we can provide valuable community feedback to the chief and help him frame policies moving forward. I think that was a good thing. And additionally, my ability to reframe conversations, it also applies to issues such as budgets. I always like to change the conversation from cost and dollars to value versus cost. Because when you focus on the value to the individual, value to the community, value to the organization, it makes it easier to make decisions. And often values at their core are aligned amongst usually everyone in the room, if you can really get to the core of what we value. What I hope to accomplish. I believe the city needs compassionate leadership. There have been similar complaints posed to the city council for the past year, and the responses to those complaints have not been satisfactory to the people who are complaining. So if you attended any city council meeting over the past several months, you surely would have seen that they often last deep into the night, sometimes until 2 in the morning or so, simply because people are complaining about issues that have not been responded to in a satisfactory way. I believe that that deals with compassion, the inability to feel the needs of the people that are complaining. And that's something that I pride myself in being able to do. I will listen to the community, hear what they need, and respond in kind. Next up, one of the things that I'm very interested in doing is ensuring that we protect the vulnerable. I think we can protect the vulnerable and the underrepresented without harming the established. So often there's a fear that if I say that I want to protect the vulnerable, for example, come up with programs to support the effort to help the homeless, that can be done without hurting people who are already here and have homes and are concerned about property values and safety. Beyond that, I think that as a member of City Council, I will apply sound logic, fair decision making, and creativity to get us over the hump. I think that we can find opportunities within the chaos that we're dealing with right now and poise the city to move forward in a very positive way. This is not the time to really circle the wagons and wait for COVID-19 to disappear. This is the time to really start planning and positioning so that when COVID-19 is under control, we can move forward in ensuring that Walnut Creek is a destination in the Bay Area. Our businesses can be up and running in the way that we're accustomed to them, and also help them thrive even further than that. So in closing, I want to do what I can to bring the spirit back into Walnut Creek. I believe that there's an element of the city that no longer has the pride in Walnut Creek that they once had. And I believe that it's possible to bring that back. Just focus on the core of what makes this city the great city that it is, the place that I felt it was necessary to live in. It was the place where I wanted to raise my family, the place where I wanted to settle. And I want to bring that back. So with that, Ted, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Curtis. I am looking, I do not see any questions in the Q&A section, but we do have everyone on audio. So if anybody would like to ask a question, you can take yourself off mute and maybe raise your hand and we'll watch for you, and then Curtis can answer the question.
Hey, Curtis, I got a chat direct, and it asked about, do you have any plans for downtown Walnut Creek? And what's
plans for downtown Walnut Creek? Absolutely. So something that's really been beneficial to Walnut Creek is the Rebound program. It was a program that fast-tracked the ability for businesses to get permits, make modifications to the way they operate so that they can stay operational. If you've been downtown, you see that there are now parklets and restaurants are now serving food in the street, and that's been very beneficial to these businesses. They were they were struggling. Many of them were on the verge of shutting down, closing their doors, and unfortunately some did. But the rebound program enabled them to continue moving on. Now, one thing that's missing is clarity in how long that program will stay in place. And something that I know is being worked on right now is establishing how long that program will be in place. I believe that there's 3 phases to supporting business right now, which is just survival, just keeping the businesses alive. But once we get through the COVID era, then it's going to be about regeneration, getting the businesses back to where they were before COVID hit. And that's the area where I think the rebound program could also be beneficial, because there are going to be some changes, some modifications, possibly ways that these businesses can set themselves up to flourish just by making some kind of perhaps structural change to the way the businesses are built. And if we can continue to fast track the permitting and help these businesses to not have to cut through layers and layers of red tape to get to that point where they can regenerate, then it will be very beneficial to ensuring that we can get to the next phase, which is thriving. What I'm focused on is getting us to a place where the businesses can again start to thrive. And my focus on business is so heavy because that is the core of one of the main ways that the city finances everything that it does. The vast majority of the money that the city uses to operate comes from sales tax and from property tax. And because sales taxes has taken such a big hit, it's important that we get the businesses back running again so that we can remain operational as a city and create some of the programs and do some of the projects that we have in mind for the future.
Curtis, what kind of experience do you have with analyzing budgets, that sort of thing? Because I think you do touch on something that's very important, which is how will Walnut Creek recover from COVID once it's over? Because the businesses, as you mentioned, loss of sales tax have been really strongly impacted a lot of us in Walnut Creek as it closes many of our wonderful recreation programs, which I personally am a big fan of. So when I see things closing and the Lesher Arts Center for Art, stuff that keeps us alive and makes us happy is like, that's hitting the cutting because, safety, police matters are always going to be more important in most people's eyes. How will you address those issues?
Well, first let me speak to my experience in evaluating budgets. By no stretch am I going to tell you that I'm an accountant or anything like that. However, I have been managing global teams in the IT space for about 20 years now. And a key component of that is managing budgets. And one of the things that I'm a people person. I believe that my portion of an organization flourishes because of the people that are on my team. And if the people are happy, generally they work harder. So whenever I make budgetary decisions, it's always with both sides in mind. It's my responsibility as a manager to ensure that my decisions are such that they benefit the company. It's my charge. That's the reason I get my check to make sure that the company is in a good place. But I always believe that it's important to think about the impact to the people. And I'm always trying to find a way to make a decision that benefits both sides. So I've spent my career focused on that. And it often makes things harder for me. It can often be easier just to slash a budget and redirect funds to some of the core aspects of an organization and then just hold tight until maybe revenue increases again. But that's often not the smart move. Usually when you do that kind of cutting, you get to a space where you have to really work hard to refund some of those things that you cut. And I believe that recreation is a really key aspect of Walnut Creek. I say recreation, but when I say recreation, I'm talking about our open space. I'm talking about leisure center. I'm talking about the things like the skating rink. All of those things may seem unimportant on the surface, but one of the strengths of Walnut Creek is that it's viewed as a destination. People come here from surrounding cities to, just to be blunt, spend money to take advantage of some of the things that we provide. There's several people that would come to the city. Right. There's some people that would come to the city just to hop on their bike and ride up Mount Diablo. All of those things are beneficial. And if we let those things fall by the wayside, if we don't take care of it, then it will impact our ability to stay functional and to thrive. Like I said, that's the ultimate goal, getting us to a point where we can thrive.
Okay, thank you for answering my question.
Sure. Look, one of the things that I wanted to accomplish here is I wanted to give you an opportunity to hear what I have to say and to get a sense of my vision. But if you don't have any specific questions about policy or how I plan to participate as one of the leaders in the city, I'm also interested in hearing some feedback about things that you need from the city that you perhaps are not getting. Or if you think things are running perfectly and you just want to say that, I'm interested in hearing that too. So questions are great, but comments are great as well, because I'm not coming into this promising that I have all of the answers, because that's one of the things that we have to do as a group, as the city council group, is work together to create those answers. What I'm coming in with is all the questions. And if you can help fill up my list of questions, I'm all for that.
Curtis, do you have a website where we could learn more about you?
I do. You can go to curtisreese.com.
I see, I wrote it down already.
And it's Curtis with a K. When you get there, it's really it's a launch pad to all the different areas where you can get information about me. You can go there, you can donate, you can see my list of endorsements. You can see a picture of my family, which I'm proud of. All the things, and also you can find ways to communicate with me. So you're welcome to contact me on social media through my campaign Facebook page, my campaign Instagram page, or even come directly to my personal page and send me a note. I'm open to all of that.
Hey, Curtis.
Yes, ma'am.
Mariande has had let us know it's important for me. It's important to keep civic arts healthy. I want to make sure that this is a priority with the city budget.
The arts? Oh, absolutely. There's some that have a philosophy that arts are not important. For example, in schools, there was a push at one time for schools to just focus on academics, and there wasn't money spent on sports or arts, and that affects the ability for a child to be well-rounded. Well, one of the reasons we want those children to be well-rounded is so that when they become adults, they can be well-rounded. And I view it as personally beneficial to be able to participate and partake in some of the arts that Walnut Creek provides. If you go to the Leisure Theater, one of the things that my family and I used to do is take walks. And when we would walk from our home to downtown Walnut Creek, we would always walk past the Leisure Center just to see what's coming up, who's going to be speaking, what plays are coming, is there going to be a musical there, and just getting my children interested in that has been beneficial to them, helping them to become well-rounded. So I'm very interested in that. It's a priority for me.
Thanks, Curtis. Dave Schneider has raised his hand. He's got a question. Dave, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Unmuted.
There you go.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
So, Thanks, I appreciate that. So in your opening, you mentioned the term social justice. I'm curious to know what that definition means to you and how you see that playing into your role as a city councilman.
Understood. That is a big phrase, social justice. So when I talk about social justice, I'm not just talking about the issues that you see on the news today with African Americans and police and racism per se. When I think about social justice, I am thinking about the generally underrepresented groups. There is bias in the world and bias in the country. There's racial bias, there's gender bias, there's bias for against LGBTQ community. Also, there's economic bias. There are people who are struggling to thrive. That's probably the word of the day. They're just making ends meet. They perhaps are one or two checks away from losing their homes. They are a part of the underrepresented that need someone to be a voice to them. And I think that as my focus on social justice is just ensuring that I'm representing everyone in the community. My constituency is more than just business. It's more than just our residents that live in big homes. It's the renters. It's the college students that happen to live in some of the corner pockets of our city. It's the homeless. It's everyone. And one of the things that we have to do as a city council is make strides to ensure that we're focused on everyone. It's a daunting task, and it's virtually impossible to ensure that everyone has the same focus. But if we're trying, we're getting a lot closer to that utopian world where we're ensuring that everyone has a fair shot. I hope that answers your question. Earlier, I mentioned that I think it's possible to support the underrepresented and the vulnerable without hurting the established. I think that's true for social justice as well. Just because I'm ensuring that there's fairness for someone who probably is struggling doesn't mean that that's going to hurt people that are living their best lives and are doing well.
Are you talking about fairness of outcome or fairness of
opportunity? So I can't control outcome. I just want to make sure everybody has a shot. So one of the things that in my personal life, there have been times when I tried to take advantage of an opportunity, but it wasn't available to me for a number of reasons that often just didn't seem fair. So I want to do what I can to ensure that there's fairness in opportunities. Now, what you do with that opportunity is up to you. You know, that I think the American way is everyone gets a chance at bat, and if you whiff, then that's your shot. But if you happen to hit the home run, if you happen to make it to base, then that is you taking full advantage of your opportunity. I hope my analogy makes sense.
Hey, Curtis, I'm in unincorporated Walnut Creek, and so we don't actually get to vote, which is very unfortunate and something right. I'm thinking about trying to do. There's about 700 or 800 houses down here by Parkmead where we are in the county. I don't know what other areas of Walnut Creek are similarly situated. Can you just quickly break down for me how this election works in terms of the number of seats and the number of people running?
Sure. So there are 3 seats that are available, and the 3 incumbents are running to reclaim those seats. But altogether, there are 8 candidates that are running for those seats. So the idea is the 3 highest vote getters are the ones that will represent you in the city council.
And having never seen a ballot, does the ballot have everybody's name on it? You get to vote three times? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I will be the last name on the list. So I recommend you start from the bottom up.
I don't get to vote at all, which is really irritating and something I need to fix.
Well, actually, this is probably a good time for you to address that, because I know of at least 2 other people that have had meetings with the city manager and I believe members of the city council to discuss this very item. They're frustrated because they want to vote, but people that are often right around the corner are voting on things that will affect them. The services in Walnut Creek don't stop at a specific street. If you live in the city, you're affected by the vote. So I completely understand that. So yeah, this is, let your voice be heard. It might layer on top of other voices that have already been heard and really help you move in the direction you're trying to get to.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Joshua, I'm in the same boat, so I'll be right there next to you, trying to figure this out. It looks like Linda has a question.
Yes,
Linda,
hi,
we're gonna
Curtis.
need you.
Yeah, I haven't heard you say anything about where you stand on environmental issues. And I think that global warming is real, and we can just look out the window, and see that there are consequences for ignoring that fact. And I believe as Walnut Creek comes out of COVID and starts to build businesses back, there may be a push to ignore some environmental regulations, or there may be ways that we could actually improve some of the infrastructure. I think about things like you hear about reducing emissions, all of those things that the city council may have to deal with. And I wondered where you stand on environmental issues.
So I'm glad you asked that. So on environmental issues, I'm with you. Global warming is real, and I am not against that at all. And I think that moving forward with our developments and a lot of the decisions that we're making, we need to consider that as part of the putting us in a better position in terms of the environment should be a big consideration in all of the projects that we jump into moving forward. Not only just ensuring, because I know for example, there's an option to select all renewable energy for your electricity when you're as a PG&E customer, pushing for things like that, but also just thinking about how transit will work with different developments and the type of developments that we're doing. For example, one of the things that I'm interested in is expanding our office space in Walnut Creek. I think that there's going to be a different strategy for where employees will work after we come out of COVID. I am pretty sure, well, I know that there is not a lot of enthusiasm about getting back on BART and going back to the city. So why not set up Walnut Creek so it could possibly be a mini business hub where some of the money that some of the people that live in Walnut Creek have been leaving the city every day and then eating and spending money in the city, shopping in other cities. Why not keep those people in Walnut Creek in their office space? And an added benefit to that is that those people are not on the freeway. Those people are not driving for hours. They're not sending out emissions that are enhancing global warming. They're also not putting themselves in danger because most people don't know, but when you're sitting on the freeway just idling, there are all types of contaminants that you're ingesting for sometimes hours upon hours each day. So it is something that I'm focused on. And one of the things that I'm doing right now is I'm reaching out to people that are vastly more embedded in environmental issues than I am to educate me. I've already had one session where someone who was just really knowledgeable about this space has spent some time explaining some basics to me that are, well, basics to her, but to me they were it was more advanced than what I had already known. And then I'm scheduling another listening session that should be coming up soon. That's going to be packed with a Zoom. I was going to say a room, but a Zoom full of people that are pro-environment, so that they can explain more information to me. Because one of the things I want to know is what I can do beyond my individual contribution to ensure that I am making the right decisions that are helping the environment as opposed to hurting it. And I think sometimes though the things that we need to do are not necessarily intuitive, and it's not really clear for the uninitiated. So it's important for me to pull the curtain and get behind that and get to the nuts and bolts and understand how the decisions that I'll be making will be beneficial.
Okay, Curtis, I've got a direct chat here asking about the youth of Walnut Creek and what do you see as their role in, I can't tell that, getting involved, their role in getting involved.
Mm. So I was just talking to a group last night and telling them about this this session that I had with youth on last Friday. It's a group called Gen Up, and it's a group of Acalanes and Mount Diablo high schoolers that host these different conversations virtually. So they brought me in, and I thought that I would get some probably softball questions from these teenagers, but honestly, they asked me the toughest questions that I've received thus far. These kids they're on top of it. They know. They were asking me about detailed Senate bills and propositions that I had only read about in passing, and they wanted to know where I stood on the details, and they knew that I would have to go back and research to get the answers, because they just knew that this isn't stuff that people just know off the top of their heads. The future is bright. We are in safe hands. These kids are going to take good care of us. And I think one of the reasons that they're going to take good care of us is not only because they're smart, but they're tough. They're going through this time, dealing with this extraordinary time. And just surviving this is going to position them to be mentally tougher, I think, than some other generations have been. So I have complete confidence in them. So in terms of how they can be involved, one of the things that I told them, and I'm going to ask them to hold me to, is setting up different sessions, different opportunities for them to interact with me. One thing that I proposed is a regular lunch where I go and have lunch at one of the high schools, and the kids that are interested in having a conversation with a city council person can come over and have lunch with me and ask me questions, possibly just get to know me, or maybe just remove that invisible boundary between government and city leadership and the kids. I want to demystify government for these kids. I want them to understand that there are ways for them to have a voice. This is something that I didn't really learn until I got into college. I remember taking a class where one of the things that I had to do was go to a city council meeting. And I was 19 years old. I'd never done that before. I'd never even seen one. And then I went and I realized, oh, this is where things get done. This is where I have a voice. This is where I can speak up and complain about stuff and, get the streets repaved or get a light fixed or whatever the problems that I'm encountering are. So I will work with the kids with informal programs, and also I'd like to expand on some of the programs that we already have in place where youth are participating in city government.
Thanks, Kurt. I think we've got time for one last question. And Dave, you've got your hand up. I'm going to ask you to unmute and go ahead.
Unmuted again. Okay, so hi. You just said that you are a believer in global warming. I'm not. I don't think any contribution man has made has been at all quantified as far as it relates to cyclical rise and fall of temperature and all that kind of stuff. So we can disagree on that. We're not going to get into a debate right now about it. So my question is, Are you meeting with any experts who happen to think like I do, that say that man hasn't contributed at all to the up and down of the climate? Because when you get into what you're saying, you're adding layers and layers of regulations and procedures and costs to people who want to build businesses here.
Yeah.
And you're making those projects last a lot longer. You're making them not want to do business here because all of a sudden doing business in Walnut Creek isn't worthwhile for them because it costs too much. So is that going into your consideration at all?
That is absolutely going into my consideration. One of the weird things about me is that I like to talk to people that have different ideas from me. So Dave, I would love to hear what you have to say, and just see where you stand on things, because I want to be able, in my estimation, if you have a belief and it can't stand up to criticism, then it's not worth having that belief. So I definitely want to hear what the other side of the environmental issues have to say. And just to be clear, when I talk about environmental issues, and I was talking about developments and doing things to reduce traffic and commuting, I think it's important
God
to
bless
see
you if you can.
Yeah, of course. There's an added layer of benefit to that. So I talked about how if you don't have to drive, then that's fewer emissions going up into the air. But also it's safer if you're not on the road for 2 hours a day.
Yep.
It's better for the family if you don't have to come home 2 hours later than you normally did, and you're not tired after a long day of work plus 2 to 4 hours of commuting. And also it keeps money in the city. So you're no longer buying lunch at the fancy restaurant in San Francisco. You're going downtown and you're buying lunch at a place here. That's revenue that comes back to the city. So I'm always looking for opportunities to double down on the benefits, as opposed to doing something that's just beneficial in one area but consequential in another. That's not to say I won't make some decisions that you might view as being that, but I'm always looking for a way to ensure that we're doubling down on the benefits.
Fair enough. Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks, Dave. And I think that's it for our Q&A. I'm going to turn it back over to Ted.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Curtis, for the comments, and thank you all for the great questions. I appreciate the engagement. As we wrap up tonight, I just want to reiterate the information that we shared at the start regarding the ways to support Curtis if you're interested in supporting him. As Curtis mentioned, you can go to curtisreese.com. Carrie is adding information to the chat, which is the links to the website, as well as some of the social media links and other information if you want to learn more. Remember, there are 4 different ways really to be involved, and that's to consider donating, that's to volunteer for the activities that we have upcoming, to consider endorsing Curtis, and then also just to follow the campaign on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. And again, those have all been added to the chat area and are available at through curtisreese.com as well. On behalf of Curtis, I'd like to thank you all. And would appreciate, and I apologize, Joshua, that you can't, but I appreciate that you all get out and vote. Obviously, the most important thing we can all do is have our voices be heard and vote. And we hope that that vote includes a vote for Curtis. So thank you very much. There'll be future events also announced in all those different channels, and we would love to see you there.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Whew. Dear God, we're clear.
Did you guys read the comment on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she was not. Well, she wasn't asking a question. Like, I literally was pulling teeth trying to get them to. I was making up my own fucking question because I couldn't get them to come up with them.
Yeah.
So her comment, Curtis, was, I'm sorry your moderator allowed Dave Schneider to pose 2 questions when he is not representative folks of Walnut Creek. Not fair to challenge Curtis on non-science-based topics that take us off track of what we need to discuss. Schools, youth, environment, building, community. Next time, take questions from different people. Don't let one person drive the conversation. Would you like to fire me, Curtis? Because
No.
Who
No.
was that? Who made that comment?
Marty Villanueva. She never asked a question. Never
No.
posed one.
But if sometimes she would get on camera and you would see her reaction to Dave's comments.
Dave.
Yeah.
I thought you handled that beautifully, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
that could have gone a lot of different ways. And I thought your response was great. I thought the way you handled it and how you were just like, you showed a lot of tact in that. And I thought that was really, really well done.
Yeah.
I saw Dave coming a mile away. So no problem. As soon as so first of all, he was asking follow-up questions. I just wouldn't let him talk. I just kept going.
Yeah, no.
And then when he came back on, I was like, okay, here we go. I don't know what I thought he was going to ask more social justice kind of questions.
Yeah.
But when he hit me on the environment, it's like, that's not that tough.
Yeah, no, but you did. You handled him very, very well. Because you're going to get those people when we're on that, when we're kind of in that forum where it's kind of a free for all. So I thought you handled it all very well.
Thank you.
And Marlena, are you gonna? I know it's gonna be cute. Like it's, you know what I do? I think it's gonna be fun. I think you guys should do like a dating game thing where you both hold up the answer. No, because
Okay,
you guys are
whatever you
cute.
say, Karen.
No, you guys are so cute together. Like I don't even know if you know how cute you are. Like you just are. So it's gonna be perfectly natural and it's gonna be awesome. You're looking like Geneva right now.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I
Absolutely. I
appreciate
think Rob's still on his call. Hey, absolutely.
All right.
More to
And now
come.
you have another one at 7, don't you?
Yeah, I have another meeting at 7.
Okay, go grab some dinner, guys.
All right.
Thank
Talk
you.
to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.